Welcome to Fathers Who Bother, a podcast dedicated to the men who are dad as we want to be. My first guest is a true polymath, rapper, actor, singer, podcaster, and all-around showman, Phonte Coleman of Little Brother and the Foreign Exchange. In the first part of our two-part interview, we discuss his relationship with his father when he found out he was going to be a dad and how this all influenced his wonderful art. Check it out.
All right. How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? This is your host, Jerry Barrow. Welcome to the first episode of Fathers Who Bother. I'm really excited because my first guest is partially responsible for inspiring this whole concept. He is a polymath writer, actor, singer, podcaster, just all around dope gentleman.
Member big words, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Wow.
I mean, we've got history going back to this Little Brother's first album.
Yes.
And you know, Foreign Exchange, Little Brother Breakup, Little Brother Reunion, you know, solo work, TV, the man, you know, we got a lot. But today, we're going to talk about something that's near and dear to both of our hearts, which is being fathers. I wanted to start with the question I think I'm going to start with everybody is, when did you first realize, or when did you first find out that you were going to become a father yourself?
Oh my God. I didn't know we were going to get into something so traumatic so early. But hey, I love it. Yo, this is why I fuck with you, Jerry Barrow. We get right into it. Fuck right. It, let's go, man. Listen, so I found out when I was gonna be a father. I was in college, and my girlfriend at the time, she we had not seen each other like for a minute. And we had got together one night, the fateful night in question. And, you know, after that, like we kind of broke up and like not seen each other, you know, for a minute. And but we were in the same department in English. You know, we were in the same academic department. So she came to me one day and she was like, look, you know, I'm late, whatever. And I'm like, man, we good, because, you know, being young, I mean, we had dodged so many bullets prior to that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like we had played with fire so many times. We was like, we cool. What you mean? It'll be cool.
Shooting up the club. See?
I mean, that shit sounded like a Griselda ad lib, nigga. So it was, you know, so I thought we was cool. And, you know, a few weeks later, you know, she called me, and I went and, you know, we went and got a pregnancy test, and, yeah, man, you know, she took the test and she was pregnant. That's the very abbreviated kind of, PG version of the story. The much more extended version will appear in my memoirs someday, 30 years from now. but that was basically what it was. And so, you know, we found out she was pregnant, and I was just like, well, I mean, all right, you know, like I wasn't excited about it, just to be very honest. You know, I wasn't excited. I was scared out of my fucking mind. You know, like I think a lot of guys are, or, you know, and that was pretty much what it was. And, you know, she, you know, decided to, you know, to have my son. And from that point on, I was just like, well, I mean, this wasn't intentional. This wasn't like what I thought fatherhood would look like for me. I never really even saw myself having kids, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? Fatherhood was never something that, when I was, you know, growing up, and, you know, you would just think about things you wanted, you know, all I wanted was just music. Like that was all I ever wanted to do, just as long as I can remember. You know, I just saw my life involving just a lot of music, a lot of just making music, and just, you know, just expressing myself in that way. I never thought I would be a father at all. Like that was something I had absolutely no interest in whatsoever. And, but, you know, it happened. And so from that point on, I just said, well, you know, I can't be, you know, the way my father was. Like I want to be, you know, in my son's life and be present. And I just gotta suck it up and figure this shit out. And that was 19, almost 20 years ago at this point.
Yeah. So what was your relationship like with your father? Because you kind of alluded to this in All For You from the Minstrel Show, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, man. So my dad was, my parents were very young when they had me. My mom was 17 and my dad, no, I'm sorry. My dad was 17 and my mom was 15.
Mm-hmm.
So they were, in high school, you know what I mean? And, like my mother, I think she was like a sophomore in high school when she had me. But, and so growing up, they were just, my mom was just my mom, I didn't realize how young she was, cause as a kid, you just look and that's just mom, you know what I mean? And, my dad, he was just, all right, well, that's my dad. It didn't occur to me as a child that my parents were also children. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't register that. That didn't register until much later. And so yeah, my dad, he wasn't really in the picture. He was out. He ended up moving to DC. He left North Carolina and he ended up like going and like living in DC and kind of just, doing his own thing. And I would see him here and there. But I didn't really get a chance to really know him until probably the last couple years of his life. And he passed in 2016. And, he came to see me one time in 2012. It was funny. It was a girl he was seeing around my way.
That sounds consistent with what you've written about.
Brother, it is so consistent. He stayed on brand to the very end. So for better or for worse, he was him to the end. But he had a girl he was seeing and to draw my way, and he was like, "Hey man, what's up? I think I'm coming around your way, and this girl I'm seeing. I'm gonna come holler at you." And I'm just like, "Okay, all right, cool." And he shows up to my crib, and he had a suitcase with him. I was like, "Nigga, what the fuck you doing with this suitcase?" And first off, like it was the raggedest goddamn suitcase I've ever seen in my life. I was like, "Nigga, what are you, bro? Do you not have a job? What the fuck? Where are you travel with this suitcase?" "Nah, man, this is my suitcase. I like it." I said, "Oh, all right, okay, cool." So, but he showed up with a suitcase. Him and his girl at the time, his girlfriend, they came over to my house, and it was just me and my sons there. And and we were. He came over and, I cooked dinner and we ate, and he ended up staying with me. I think he ended up staying with me for about 2-3 days. And, that was the most time I'd ever really spent with my dad in that way. And it taught me so much about myself. It was so many things that he did that I didn't, know where I got it from. Like I remember we went to Target and I was buying stuff for my crib, and he was like liking the same stuff. I was like, "Yeah, like I like these earth tones. I like this for the table. I like this." And the taste that we had, it was like the same. I was like, "Damn." And we were checking out, and we were about to check out at the Target, and I went and grabbed me some peanut M&Ms, and he was like, "Oh, you like peanut M&Ms?" I was like, "Yeah, I love." He's like, "Yeah, man, I eat these all the time." And I never knew. Like we went out to eat, and like I was cooking. Well, before we went out to eat, I was cooking fish at the house for everybody, and I made a piece of salmon that was kind of medium rare. It wasn't as cooked as the other pieces I made. And I said, "Dad, look, I got this piece right here." I said, "I got another one coming if you like it a little done more." He's like, "Nah, man, nah, I like mine bloody, man. You ain't got to cook mine. I like it." And that's the same way I like mine. You know what I mean? Like, that's the same way I like my salmon, the same way I like my steak. Like I like it medium rare. You know what I mean? So it was just so wild. And, man, it was crazy. I later just had the thought, like years after, when he passed, I really think that was him saying goodbye. He was really secretive about his health. And it was a lot of problems that he had that I didn't find out about until months down the line, almost until the point where he was almost about to die. Like when I went to see him kind of in the last year, and I was sitting with the doctor, and the doctor is just reading off a laundry list of health problems. Ooh. And me and my brother just sitting there like, what the fuck? Like, what? like we had to take his toe. Like I remember his doctor was like this. He was he was African. I don't know what country he was from, but he was an African doctor, and his bedside manner was trash, right? You know what I'm saying?
I remember that. Ooh.
Man, like his bedside manner was just, he just didn't have really good bedside decorum. So he was just very matter of fact. Yes, your father, his heart is only working at 30%, and his kidneys are failing, and his heart it will not last. And I was like, nigga, whoa, hold up, goddamn, nigga, what? He was just running it, and so yeah, man. But
I never thought to fight it. I never thought to fight a doctor until my father was on his deathbed.
Really?
Because my father, he had a stroke a year before he passed, and he also had heart issues. That's what kind of led to everything. He had surgery for a chamber in his heart, and they replaced the valve or something, and then he, like a month into his recovery from that, he had a stroke, paralyzed his whole right side of his body. Shit. And then things just went downhill from there. And then I remember towards the end, the doctor just basically came to me and my mom, started talking about what's the word they like to use when you want to start? What was it? Hospice.
Hospice. Hospice.
And I was like, wait, or like it's like, do you have to sign this paper saying, oh, do DNR.
Do not resuscitate.
Oh my
DNR
goodness.
order. Yeah, man.
He asked my mother with a straight face, like, so how do you feel about it? Would you sign this DNR order? I'm like, so they're basically saying if he has a problem.
We need permission to kill him.
Yes.
We need your permission to let him die.
Bruh, I was ready to just haul off on this doctor. I'm like, are you serious? Are you trying to tell me you're not even going to try to save my father's life right now? And it took everything. My sister, my wife, everybody was like, Jerry, just go over here while we talk to the doctor. And I'm just like, yo, they are wild.
Yeah. Bro, it's so real, man, because I get it, because it's just so, they have to make those hard decisions. And I mean, in the case of my dad, I mean, listen, dude, like by the time I found out what it was, his heart, I think, was only working at like a 10% capacity. Oof. You know what I mean? So it literally was just a matter of time. Like we were just counting down. And, he had, congestive heart failure, similar thing. It was congestive heart failure that was a result of diabetes. And then, they had to take a toe. Then they took, the foot. Then they had to take some more of his leg. Like, he ended up losing, a leg. And it was just little by little. It was just like a slow deteriorating thing, for like that last year. And, the last time I saw him, it was before Foreign Exchange show. We had played, we were playing Howard Theater. I guess this was 2016. We did a show at Howard Theater, and, sold out show was crazy. And I went to see him. He was in a nursing home up in Maryland before the show. And me and my wife, or my girl, but now my wife, we went and see him. And, that was the last time I saw him, man. And I just saw him, and, we talked, and he was in a room with this other couple, this other older guy who was a diabetic patient who lost his leg, and his wife was in there. And it was beautiful, man. Like, we just all had a conversation, and several times during that conversation, I remember my dad just breaking down crying. And he just, he was just saying, I love you, man. And, I'm proud of you. And, it was just all these things that I guess maybe he didn't have the words to say before, but we were able to talk, and that was the last time I saw him. And man, the big part for me, the biggest takeaway from just his life and what kind of led to just my parenting approach with my sons was that I learned that the biggest gift that we can give our kids is the gift of ourselves. The best gift you can give your kids is giving them the opportunity to really know who you are. And I went through it a lot, when my pop passed. I was really angry I was angry for a while, just because it was so many questions that I wanted to ask him that I never got a chance to. And it was a lot of things I was going through in my adulthood, just as a young man, that I had questions about. And, I wished, I would have had him, to kind of help me through that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And and that was it. So with my kids, it was just like, yo, man, if nothing else, I want my boys to know me. I want them to really know their dad and know what I'm about, know my good parts, my bad parts, and everything, because the better they know me, the better they'll understand themselves.
So how many kids do you have now?
I have two boys, 19 and 14.
Okay. Wow. So what's that like? You got two teenagers.
Man, listen, never a dull moment. Never a dull moment. Man, it's cool. It's very different. So the relationship I have with my 19-year-old is very different than the relationship I have with my 14-year-old. My 19-year-old, me and his mom, that was my college girlfriend.
Right.
And like today we're the best of friends. Like it's all love. Like we have an amazing relationship now, but that wasn't always the case. You know what I mean?
I know, because you said, I remember on All For You were like thinking I was in love, but really it changed, trapped to this girl. You said a lot of people want to see me fail as a father, and that thought of haunts me, especially when I check my rear view mirror and don't see him in his car seat. I was like, damn, this brother's preaching right now. How much of you, since you didn't have that relationship with your father, how did you incorporate, I guess, the lack of him being around into raising your sons? Like, how did you turn that negative into a positive?
Man, it was hard, it was hard. And it was a lot of things that I certainly, I don't struggle with as much now, but I know for a bigger part of my 20s, my late 20s, early 30s, I just really beat myself up about because kids was never something that I wanted to have. Like I never saw myself as doing that. And so I felt guilty, like I felt bad. And I just always felt like I was a bad father and that I wasn't doing enough. You know what I'm saying? It always, I always had this kind of insecurity of not being a good father. And, I was really hard. I was really hard on myself. I would look around and see other kids, or when I would go to events with my son, like we have to go to like the children's night at the school where they give a play or whatever fucking corny shit, right? You know what I mean? So, but you gotta go. And like, and my son at the time, he's like 5'6", so he's like a kid. So I'm like, I gotta go. And I remember being in those spaces and just seeing all these dads with their cameras out and taking 50 million pictures and, they smiling and shit. And I'm like, yo, am I just a fucking degenerate? Because I don't care about none of this shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't, like, fuck this fucking play, dude. Like, so fucking what? Like, nigga, who cares? They're fucking 6. Like, they can't sing. They're not talented. Like, get me the fuck out of here. You know what I mean?
You're speaking for so many parents right now who wouldn't have the balls to say what you said. But I've been to so many Christmas concerts, and I'm just
bro.
We have to be here right now.
Do we really get to do this? Is there any other way I can show my love? Please let me write a check. Where can I just write the check to? Just tell me where to send the check, and I can take my ass home, and it be over with. That's it.
Oh.
Yeah. So then the thing about it is like, the kind of cool full circle thing is once my kid got older, once my sons got older, I would talk to him and I'd be like, hey, yo, man, do you really want to do this Christmas thing or whatever? And he's like, nah, Dad, this is lame. I don't want to go. I'm like, all right, cool. And then we go play Call of Duty or some shit. You know what I mean? So it was once we kind of crossed that threshold, we were able to be cool. But yeah, man. So for a long time, I really just beat myself up as a dad. And I think in some ways, as a father, it kind of maybe led me to overcompensate in some ways, just whether it being with gifts or just, not being all the way a helicopter parent, but just wanting to show that I was involved. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that definitely showed up in my relationship with both of them. But my 19-year-old, you know, again, me and his mom, we were in college. We were super young. And then my 14-year-old, he's from my ex-wife. And we've since divorced and everything. But he, you know, he was the one that was with me. He's been with me like from day one. You know what I'm saying? My 19-year-old, he was with his mom. He was with his mom until he was about 12. I wanted him to come stay with me prior to that. I wanted him to come stay with me when he was probably around like 8, 7, 8. You know what I mean? I was like, but, me and his mom weren't really seeing eye to eye at that time. And I think she was, right. And, not wanting him to come during that time. But he ended up coming to stay with me when he was like 12, and he lived with me until he was probably around like 16 or 17, something like that.
You were Furious Styles?
It was Furious Styles time, bro. They had to call me in, you know what I mean? And, man, he stayed with me, and ultimately it was him. He decided to go back and live with his mom, and we sat down and talked about it. And I just said, well, look, man, I mean, look, this is not a prison. We tried it. You were able to make an informed decision. You know what it looks like staying with me in the summertime, because there's a difference between summertime dad and school year dad.
Of
you know
course,
what I'm saying?
Of course.
So yeah, summertime, it's all the fly shit. We going water parks and goddamn, we jumping on trampolines. We doing all kind of wild shit. But it's school time. It's all right, bro. You better get this goddamn work.
You got a curfew.
Yeah, the whole nine. It's all kind of boundaries.
Right.
And so, yeah, brother, it was, I said, but you're able to make an informed decision. You know what it's like with me in summertime and in school time. And you know what it's like with your mom in summertime and school time as well. So if you've seen both scenarios and you decide you want to go live back with your mom, hey, brother, this ain't no prison. You know what I'm saying? I ain't the warden. You know what I mean? And the main thing that we walk away, and me and my son now, my 19-year-old, like, we're able to like talk about a lot of this stuff now, and I'm able to talk with him in a way at 19 that I wasn't able to talk to him at 12, 13. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I just said, man, at the end of the day, I just wanted y'all to know me. If I can say that I did a better job at, being open and being honest and being accepting, if I can do a better job with you than my dad did with me, then, I've done my part to kind of break that chain. You know what I'm saying? And to stop that cycle.
Are they with you now during the whole shelter in place?
Well, my 14-year-old is. My 14-year-old, he's with me. Like, I have like custody of him, so he's with me like all the time. My 19-year-old, he's with his mom, and he's with her, and they're just both sheltering in place. And we talk, we catch up, and just make sure everything's cool. But he's with her.
How has it been with your 14-year-old with all this? Because I know me and my kids, it's with day 45 or something. And I got a 17-year-old and an 11-year-old girl, a 17-year-old boy, and they've been doing the whole homeschool thing. And it's been chill for the most part, but I think we hit our breaking point recently because we've been trying to keeping them on their chores. And the difference is when you have to do dish duty during school time and everybody can leave, you're only doing the dishes once a day maybe. But we all home, and there's dishes
several times of dishes.
All day long is dishes. And it's been like, do you see these dishes in this sink? And they don't even have to wash them in my house. They just have to put them in the damn dishwasher.
Yeah, just stack them. Just stack them.
Right. So what have you been, what have you had any challenges adjusting to this confinement?
Man, for us, it's not really been, I mean, I can't say it hasn't been an adjustment. I mean, it's certainly been an adjustment, but I can't say it's been bad. It's been pretty good. And when I say that, we have a house that's our house is, big enough for everyone kind of has their own space. So if we need to just kind of go to our corners, then we can just do that. And in terms of just kind of keeping our rituals and keeping, the chores and all that, we're all really big on that. I think a lot of people are kind of attaching to their rituals and to their daily routines and customs, because that kind of it retains some degree of normalcy in the midst of all this shit. You know what I mean? So with us, it's still the same thing. I still, clean up day, still Saturday. That's International Black People Cleanup Day. You know what I mean? So
Right.
cleanup day still Saturday. You still, vacuum, mop floors, sweep, do the bathrooms, the whole nine. Yeah, I mean, we're still pretty much keeping our general routine. The conversation I had with my 14-year-old is that because he's doing, like you said, they're all doing the schooling now, just the kind of homeschool, and it was I think it was kind of frustrating for him. Because he's like, man, but I said, well, man, the thing is that you got to use this time kind of as training ground. You can use this to work to your advantage and teach you how to work independently. I said, because if anything, this is kind of preparing you more for college, even more so than a regular classroom would be. Because, you know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, you get to college, it ain't 6 straight hours of just drill instruction. You get the assignments, teacher go over for a little bit, you take them, and you do them. You can work at your own pace as long as you get it done in time. I said, so now he gets up and he does like his lessons, and then I think they have a break, and then he finishes. I mean, he's normally done by like 1:00 every day. I said, man, look, bro, shit. Nigga, you don't understand it right now, nigga. You living.
Right.
Shit,
right.
what?
Yep.
I said, so man, use this to your advantage, because if you can do this now, if you can adapt to this kind of new reality, and you can still find a way to be on point, to retain, what's being taught, ask for help when you need it, and get your work in on time and work independently and still be sufficient, man, those skills are going to carry you a long way outside of the classroom.
Facts. Yeah, I want to bake your noodle real quick. Do you remember the night of the minstrel show backstage at BB King's?
Okay.
Your then girlfriend wife was pregnant.
Yeah.
And that memory sticks out in my mind because you were in your Percy Miracles outfit, and someone had come into the backstage dressing room and with a cigarette, and the whole squad kind of just like, no, there's a pregnant woman in here. Put that out.
Yeah, hell yeah, get that shit out of here, bro.
What do you remember about that night? Because I'm thinking that was the first time, I guess, you're performing as little brother in a bit, and you're about to be a father for the second time. Like, was that in your mind as you're performing? Like, yo, I got a kid coming. Like, I got to make.
Hell yeah! I mean, it certainly was it definitely was in my mind, man. At the time, and I will say as well, the circumstances under which I had my second son. I mean, I was married at the time when I had my second son, so. Right. It was very different. And, that was another thing that just to kind of before, to touch back on just something you mentioned earlier about, the relationship with my dad. That was a moment where I kind of had more sympathy for him because my dad had me. He had a lot of kids, right? So it was a lot. I still have siblings that I haven't met. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of us, but he had me and my brother. So my brother Kendrick, we call ourselves hood twins. Like my birthday is I'm in December and he's in July.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean,
wow. Okay, I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
You feel me?
Yep.
And our mothers were classmates. So,
Papa was a player. Woo.
Man, listen, let me tell you, that nigga was a Rolling Stone, a Beatle, goddamn, the Who, nigga. He was all them niggas. Shit. Yeah, brother. So, yeah, man.
Did you ever have that moment where you looked in the mirror and realized you were your father's son? I remember.
Absolutely. Hell yeah.
Wasn't that crazy? Like, I remember the two things that stand out for me is looking in the mirror and seeing my father. And then the first time I opened my mouth and his voice came out of my face. That shook me like, oh, shit. Because I was talking to my kids and I told them, y'all got life too good. I said, oh, shit, I'm my father.
I've become that. Yeah, for better or for worse, that's what I've become. Nah, bro, It is so real. Yeah, man. Like I had that realization. I mean, several times, but I remember, because my son, sorry, not my son. My dad was 17 when he had me. So me and my brother Kendrick, 6 months apart. And, this is, they were kids, when we were born. But then later on in life, he got married and he had my brother and sister, Lauren and Lawrence. He had them and, they was in the context of a marriage, like he was married to their mom and all of that. And, when he passed, there was a lot of things that my sister, was kind of, angry with him about, and rightfully so, you know what I mean? But having a conversation with her, and I just told her, I said, well, listen, you got to understand, at the time when he had me and Kendrick versus the time he had y'all, those were two completely different times in his life. And he was a different person in that era, you know what I mean? So, the time, and as I was talking to her about it, it really made me think about my kids. It's like, man, like the person who I was at the time when I had my 19-year-old and the time I was when I had my 14-year-old, like, man, those were two, even though they, 5 years apart, like 5 years in your early 20s, like, man, that's fucking sea change, dude. You know what I'm saying?
It is. They got Lawrence with the Best Buy job and
right
versus Lawrence with the tech job.
That is exactly what it is. That is, they feel like they got the parent that, is what, and and it's like that. It's like, if you're a firstborn child, I mean, it's kind of, you're the guinea pig, because I was a firstborn kid, and, like when you're the firstborn, like it's a lot of shit that your parents don't get right. But by the time your younger siblings come around, that could be at a point in their time where a point in their marriage or in their adulthood where they're more stable. You know what I'm saying? They paper might be better. They could be in a better place in their marriage. So the household is not as, toxic or whatever. And man, those are things you have to take into consideration. So seeing that definitely helped me relate to my sons a little better, because I had to keep in mind that they've been growing with me through all of this. And the person I am today is not the person that I've always been, and to give them some leeway and be compassionate and, towards them about that, because it was a lot of growing pains that I went through and still going through,
Yeah. You said on, when everything is new, now I go out on the road, come home, see my kids, like, damn, when did you get a mustache? How did you balance being an artist and a parent?
I didn't. There was no balance. Like there was no. I mean, I can't speak for anyone else, but I know for me, there was no balance. It was just, going back to your question about the night of the minstrel show, release and the show at BB King's and all of that when my then wife was pregnant. Yeah, I mean, the only thought in my mind was survive. Just survive and, and provide. That was the main thing. Provide. You know what I mean? I just got to provide. You know what I mean? So I got to go out here. I got to do these shows. I got to do these records, these mixtapes, and that was it. Like I wasn't thinking about being, a parent or, my only thought was, okay, if I'm in the house with my kids and they not broke the way I was broke, then I did my job. Like that was it. I don't think the emotional component of it came into context until a lot later, because I mean, again, like you just got to think, it's like, when the kids are young, at least, from on my side, when I had boys, so when boys are young, this is all about mommy. It's mama's the superstar, right? It's just mommy. I want my mommy. You know what I mean? But then once they kind of cross that threshold about 10, 11, 12, depending, that's when they want to be around masculine energy. They want to know what dad is doing. They want to, they want to do some man shit. You know what I mean? So I thank God that, while I wished as they were younger, I wish I could have been a more emotionally involved parent. I thank God that me working so hard and grinding so hard in my 20s set me up so that I could be the dad that they needed in my 30s and in their teens. You know what I'm saying? Because by that point in time, by the time they kind of hit the Furious Styles age, you know, I was more established. You know, I didn't have to be out on the road for 6, 7, 8 weeks at a time. You know what I mean? Like, I actually had established myself and had set up a economic system to where, you know, I could actually be around. You know, I didn't have to just always be on the chase. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, it kind of, in the end, I would say it all worked out because I was able to be there for really pivotal and crucial times in their lives when they really needed me.
I'm going through the lyrics. Son of these niggas that makes me a parent. 4 years ago, my girl made me a parent. 4 years later, Kev's beats we be sharing. Going back and forth in the car, straight illin'. And they say I'm raising hell. I just call him Dylan. What made you want to? Because a lot of MCs, they don't put none of their personal life in their rhymes, but that's definitely not been you. What made you want to rap about? Because the song was called Beats and Rhymes, and you just put in the reference to you raising your kid. I get the son metaphor, you stretched it out, but what do you remember about that, and what made you want to be so open? With
that song, particularly, I mean, that was what me and my son used to do. Like, my son, when he was a kid, this is my oldest son, Dylan, he would listen to Kev Brown's beats. Like, I would make him like beat CDs and just CDs of stuff to listen to because he had his own little radio in his room to go to sleep. And, even when he was a kid, like when he was, before he was born, I made like little tapes and CDs for him and for his mom to play. You know what I'm saying? I'd be like, yo, he need to know what the real shit is. Like, play this and put your stomach to the speaker and shit. You know what I mean? Like, it was real. I was like, yo, I can't have no kid with whack taste in music, dude. You fucking up the vibe. But
I tried that. It didn't work for me, but it's all good. My son is his own person, but I tried.
Bro, they're their own people, and they're you're absolutely 100%. Like, they're their own people, and they're gonna be who they are. It's some parts you can look and say, okay, I see that comes from your mama. You see some shit, it's like, okay, I see that comes from me. But then it's gonna be that other part. It's just like, nigga, I don't know where the fuck this came from. This is all yours.
Right. Right.
This ain't, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, bro. So that was what we would do. So with that record, with the Kev Brown joint, Kev Brown beats that would be his nighttime music. He'd put it on and go to sleep and listen to Kev music. And the funny part was that at that time, Kev lived right around the way from his mom in Maryland. Like, they were kind of in the same neighborhood. And so, and it was Grap Lover, big ups to my man Grap Lover. He had linked us up, you know what I'm saying? And so, because Grap was in Maryland too at the time. He was living there. I think Grap is still in Maryland, but he was up there. And so, you know what I mean? And so he linked us up, and so it was just all family, you know what I mean? And so, in putting it in the song, the thing I always tell people, because they've asked me that question before, as a writer, as, rapper, producer, whatever, your family is gonna be a part of my art. It's never gonna be a part of my act. And there's a difference, you know what I'm saying? Just as a person, just as the things you experience, the things that you go through just day to day, just the conversations you have with your family, with your people around you, or whatever, that's inevitably gonna find its way into the art that you create. That, I think, that's organic. I think that's a very natural kind of way of creating. What is not natural is, okay, son, when we drop Loving It, I want you to come out and rap my verse. You know what I'm saying? Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not something that, that I wouldn't necessarily do. Although, I mean, I can remember like one time, like my son, because this is again my oldest son, Dylan, I would have to bring him with me on the road a couple times. You know what I'm saying? A couple times he had to come with me, and he would be backstage and he would want to get to the mic. Like, he wanted to rap. And he's like 4 years old. He's like, I want to rap, Dad. I'm like, what? Yeah. And so I would give him the mic, and he would spit the whole verse. Like he would rap the whole verse, and I might let him do that like once or twice, and it was funny. But I was like, okay, nah, man, I'm not making my family a part of my act. Everything can't be for sale. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that was something that I always stressed him.
Does he have artistic aspirations? Do either of them? Do they
yeah, he does. Yeah, my oldest son does. He has artistic aspirations. He wants to rap and sing and produce, and he wants to do it. And I'm just like, well, look, man. I mean, if you want to do it, I can help you. You know what I'm saying? Once you show me what it is, but I'm like, bro, you got to create. You got to make something. You know what I'm saying? And I think sometimes, particularly with him, but I see it in a lot of kids of this generation, they get kind of scared because they want it to be right. And I think maybe it's him because he's my son and he like looks at me like whatever. But I'm just like, look, man, I don't care. Even if it's bad, I told him, look, your first songs, they're always going to be bad. They're going to suck. It's okay. Like all our first songs suck. You know what I mean? Right. It's what it is. That's part of the process, but just get it out. It's not about being good in the beginning because you're not good. Nobody's good when they first start out. It's not about being good. It's just about being productive and just getting words down on the page, or if it's just voice notes, or if it's just whatever, you know what I mean? And the kids now, they got, tools available to them and technology. Like niggas can make an album on their damn iPhone. You know what I mean?
Right.
So he has music aspirations. My 14-year-old Andrew, he don't really care. Like he's more of a kind of a science kind of techie kind of kid. So he listens to music. Like he was the one that he was telling me about the Travis Scott Fortnite joint the other day. He showed me that. I was like, oh damn, this shit hard. This shit was dope. And so but he listened to his like trap music, and he listened to all the ignorant niggas. Like he's all into all of that. So he keeps me abreast on what the face tat rap is going on.
Oh man, my son spends hours on SoundCloud listening to video game scores. Like to Undertale and shit like that. Like I'm like, yo, you just opened me up to some stuff I had never even knew existed. But yeah, that's his shit. He's not even into like commercial artists like that. My daughter, on the other hand, she's all day on Pandora. She's the one doing the dishes with the Pandora on the iPad, and she listens to everything from A Tribe Called Quest to Ed Sheeran. She wants to
bro, but you know what, man? I think that's great. And I've had this conversation before. Like, it's so great. Our kids are gonna be so much more musically advanced than we were, specifically because they have access to everything and they don't got to pay for it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It was plenty of times. I mean, think about how many times you was in a record store as a kid or as a teenager or whatever, and it was like, yeah, I really like this Tears for Fears song, but these niggas ain't about to get my last $20 though.
Right.
So let me go on and let me go on and buy this. Yeah, let me get this KRS-One. I know what this is. So we didn't really have that room to explore, back then, and they have it now. But yeah, my sons, they're the same way. Like they'll listen to my son will listen to the Beatles, and then he'll listen to fucking TJ6X and like all these niggas with all NBA young, like all them niggas, that whole crew of just auto-tune rap niggas. Right. He's in it all, but then he'll listen to Stevie Wonder. You know what I mean? So
welcome to Fathers Who Bother, a podcast for men who are as dad as we want to be. In part 2 of our interview with Phonte Coleman, we talk about Little Brother's Diary of a Mad Black Daddy skit, Phonte voicing a children's book, and addressing his father's passing in his music. Check it out.
So who was the father on the Diary of a Mad Black Daddy skit? Who was voicing that?
Man, the Diary of Mad Black Daddy skit, that's my man Jermaine. Shout out to my homie Jermaine White. Jermaine is a cat that this was just a dude that used to be at our barbershop. And he would just be at the barbershop in Durham. And my man Ked, shout out to my man Kedra Mims, who was who was my barber for many years. And Jermaine was just a dude that would just come in the barbershop and just be talking shit. He just had just this great, loud, boisterous voice. Like he was just the barbershop homie. And so when we were working on Minstrel Show, I was like, man, we need somebody to, I need somebody to be the Mad Black Daddy. And I can't remember if it was Doe or if it was Pooh that was like, yo, why don't we just we holler at Jermaine? And I was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. And so we brought him in and, he killed it. I gave him like some lines. I was like, okay, do this, do that. And he riffed a little bit and he killed it. So then, of course, it's 14 years later and me and Pooh are working on May the Lord Watch. And I wanted to bring him back in some kind of way. I was like, yo, I got to bring back the Mad Black Daddy. But where is he? Like, I literally hadn't seen Jermaine since we cut that skit for Minstrel Show.
Right.
And so I reached out to my man Kid, my old barber. I was like, yo, bro, what's good? You got a line on Jermaine? He's like, man, I think this still his number, but here. So I ended up hitting Jermaine and it's still him. And I'm like, yo, what up? He like, what's up, Tay? What up, man? Y'all need me again? What up, man? He goes right into character on the phone. It was the funniest shit. So so me and Pooh, I ended up taking just kind of my little mobile setup to his crib in Durham. Right. And I had my laptop and I had just my little kind of podcaster mic that I use. And we cut that shit in his closet. We cut that shit in the closet at his crib. Right. And it was the exact same energy. I mean, 14 years later, still the same guy, still the same voice, just so black and so fucking obnoxious. I loved it. And but that's him. That's my homie Jermaine White.
Okay. For those that don't know, where on the new album is he? You said you brought him back.
He's on the Diana Changed My Life.
Okay.
Cornell, I can't believe you got me up here these bootleg ass council. I'm gonna fuck you up. Like that shit was so fucking great. Like he just had so many outtakes. It was just shit he would do, and he would like start going, but then he would stop. And I'm like, bro, you thinking about it? I can't believe, Cornell, you got me up in here like I'm a fucking immigrant. It was just all this ignorant shit he was saying. It was fucking hilarious. So, but yeah, he's that's him, Jermaine White. He's on Diana Changed My Life on May Lord Watch and Diary of a Mad Black Daddy on what you call it on Minstrel Show. He's also, and the man I think about, damn, I forgot. He's also tucked very deep. He's also on Get Back. We brought him back on Get Back for, I think it was the skit before After the Party, where it's like the club let out skit or like the club parking lot skit.
The banana pudding. I'm gonna go have to get a banana pudding shake.
Yeah. Well, that was me saying that, but yeah, that song After the Party. So it's like the skit, I think, that leads into that. We have him on there, kind of like he's in the parking lot pulling up on Cornell, like telling him to come out the club. But it's like you have to really listen to hear it. But he's on there.
Okay. So you voiced a children's book, a bedtime story. That joint is hilarious. Please tell me about We Used to Have Money and Now We Have You.
Yo, man, that was something. Yo, shout out to my man Corey Richardson out of Chicago, man. Corey's a brother who I had known just for many years, just through OK Player. He would just, we were just all on OK Player together in the lesson and general discussion, just shooting the shit about music or whatever. And, he was just a cat that was just kind of always around. And so Twitter, we started following each other on Twitter and everything. And he was tweeting one day about a children's book that he had done. And I knew Corey's humor. Corey has like we have very similar kinds of humor, just very kind of dark, deadpan in some ways. And, just like Corey would be the guy that would, like me, that would also say, why the fuck am I coming to this Christmas play? Like, we're cut from that cloth. It's like, why, why do I want to like fuck these kids? I want to go home. Like he would say that. So when I saw the damn joint, when I saw the title in the book, I hit him up and I was like, yo, man, I'll voice this for you. And he was like, yeah, like you be doing that. I'm like, yeah. And so then I was like, well, man, I think it might be dope. Like if we had like Zoe, let me holler at Zoe and see if we can do some music to it, whatever. And he was like, word? Like I said, yeah. I said, let's just see. I mean, I don't know if this will work. I think it'll work, but let's just try it. And so Zoe, like I had a track of his over here, and the idea was that I was like, okay, what if you could narrate a book? Like if you were a book narrator, but you had Michael McDonald doing your ad libs. And that was the bit. So it's me telling this children's story, but then singing as Michael McDonald, like ad-libbing through the story. So yeah, you can check that out. We used to have Money, now we have you. It's on Audible, I think. It's like Amazon, and yeah, you can just get it. You can get it wherever audiobooks are.
Back to you putting your family and specifically your father in your music. You really helped me personally with the whole trilogy. I call it Expensive Jeans, Cry No More. Those songs, because I was literally driving in the limo to my father's funeral listening to that, because it was the only thing, that and Common's songs to his father.
Mm-hmm.
I'd put them in a playlist. All those songs he bookended his albums with to his father. I had those on repeat trying to work through my shit. So what
do you think you had to work through? Like what were some of your issues, I guess?
Just the loss, because I was very close to my father. And you mentioned earlier that something you wish you had done as far as getting to know your dad. I had actually interviewed my father back when I was running Watch Loud about his taste in music and how he discovered things. And I always tell people, it was one of the things I suggest everyone do if you have a parent who's alive, is sit down and interview your parents. Have that memory, have that information, have their voice. Like when I miss him, I can still play that and still hear his voice. Because honestly, it's been 2 years now, and sometimes I forget what it sounded like already, and and having it to play back. But just dealing with my anger, because I felt like it was unfair the way he went. The fact that he was a walking dude. Like my father, riding a bike, walking the streets. He did not stay home, so I knew how much it killed him, almost literally, to be in a bed 24/7, not being able to move. I know he hated it, and he couldn't talk.
That was hell. That was hell for him.
That was hell for him, and it just made me feel like, and I felt helpless. I felt so helpless because I couldn't do anything to fix his situation, and all I wanted to do as a son was to make him feel better, and I couldn't. So, and I just wanted to connect to other men dealing with their fathers and their relationships with them, and you in common were the only ones I had to kind of fall back on. But then specifically, Cry No More was just like, everything you said was just like, damn, he's like in my head right now.
Thank you so much, man.
So just talk to me a little bit about that. Did that help? Did that give you closure?
It did in some ways. I mean, I don't think you ever really have closure in the sense of, well, it's over. I'm done now. We're good. I don't think it's that straight of a line, but it definitely did give me, it was a release, and it was, just through the process of writing that song and just kind of drawing a lot of parallels, and I'm sure that you can relate to this as a writer. It's like you'll have a concept in your head, and you might make your notes, you might make just kind of ideas you may scribble down or whatever, but it's not until you actually start the process of actually writing it. And when you start writing it, that's when like a third gear kind of kicks in, because there's certain revelations that only come to you in the process of writing. You know what I'm saying? And so in the process of writing, it was things I was like, damn, man, like, wow, like this nigga died of all these heart problems, and then we left the fucking funeral and went and ate fried chicken. You know what I'm saying? Like just shit like that. Yeah, I'm like, damn, you know what I mean? And
I was at the repast with those words running through my head, but I still fucked up on food.
Oh no, we still listen. We still gonna eat. We still gonna it wasn't the fact that he ate fried chicken at the Rebate. No, it's when you eat it every day. Like that's when
Right.
it's like, bro, you're not giving yourself a chance in hell to make it out here. But nah, man, yeah, it was tough. And I think in the process of just writing them songs, when you asked me earlier about just realizing that you're your father's son, when I was again telling his story, he loved his work and his women, built like a Clydesdale, went to the city in search of supreme clientele. Like I'm listening to his story and I'm telling it and I'm just like, damn, like I wonder if that's how my kids see me, because as a kid, all I really remember is just watching my dad work. Like that was it. It was just work, work, work. Like that was, he had his own business and, that was it. And so that was a moment where I was like, man, I don't want my kids, the only memory they have of me is dad at his computer. Like I gotta form something else. We gotta go, shoot some hoop. We need to go, play some video games. Like I don't want that to be the only way that they remember me. And that helped me. It did help me put a lot of it helped me let go of a lot. You know what I'm saying? The anger that I had, towards him. It kind of made me a lot more sympathetic towards him, I'd say.
Yeah.
And really getting into his stories, because what you're saying, that shit is 100%, is 100%, man, in terms of getting your parents' stories and getting their voices. Because, and I even tell my sons this, I was a complete other person before y'all got here. Like I had a whole lot, so all the things that y'all are doing now that you think that, oh, dad, you wouldn't understand, nigga, I had you.
Yes.
So anything that you about to tell me, something with a girl or something you think, oh, you wouldn't understand how it is with these girls. Nigga, your mama was one of these girls. What the fuck you mean I don't understand? Shit. You think your mama wasn't busting dope, nigga? Like, what the fuck? Like, you, come on, bro. You can't. You know what I mean?
We traumatize our kids with shit like that. Like, it's my wife and I would, like, we try to be affectionate when we can, and sometimes we forget that they're around, and he'll just give the eye roll, like, "Oh my God, get a room." Like, I
don't need to get a room, nigga. I bought a house.
Right? Like,
that you live in.
How do you think you got here, fool? And he just
right
running away. Oh, dad. Oh, that's gross. I'm like,
yeah. Yeah, but that's it. Like, but that's the thing, right? So like when you're younger, you just see your parents as just mom and dad. But when you get older, you start to see them as people.
Right.
And that was, a big part when you talk about just writing and, just kind of working on my album and stuff. Like that was a big part, I think, for me as I got older. I really got to see my dad and both my parents really as people. And once you see them as people, I think your view of them becomes a lot more sympathetic and in a lot of ways a lot more informed, because now you just look at them as just, they're not mom and dad, these kind of all seeing, all knowing people. They're just people that made decisions, and some were good, some were bad, but they were trying to figure this shit out just like you're trying to figure it out now. Like they were me at 41, with a kid, with a 14-year-old, I was no more informed than my dad was when I was 14. You know what I'm saying? Like we were all trying to figure this shit out. And actually, in some ways, I'm probably more informed now raising my son than he was raising me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because, and I forgot who it was. It was a comedian or somebody that made a joke about how, I think it was Gerard Carmichael that just made the joke about how, our grandfathers were all horrible people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like this shit was hilarious. And it's just like, yo, this whole new thing of dads being active and listening and all, like, nigga, that's some new shit. Like that's something that just happened like in the last, 20 years, 15 years or so. Like this whole
Our fathers weren't in the delivery room. My father was at a bar when I was born. My mother told me. My mother was in labor. My father was at a bar around the corner, and they just went and got him when I was born. This whole gotta be in the delivery room is definitely some new shit.
Yeah, like co-ed baby showers. Are you fucking shitting me? Like, what the fuck? I'm not going to goddamn baby shower. Like, no. I would go to my own baby shower, let alone like one of my wife's friends. And he was like, we're gonna have it's co-ed, and you can bring your partner. You can bring. I don't want to go. I don't care. I don't want to be there. I'm old school in that way. That is woman shit. I don't care. Like, I will send money. I will send me your Amazon gift registry. I got you. I'll lace it up. And the little baby gonna have everything. He'll have the finest of everything. But
Right.
I'm not about to sit in no goddamn baby shower. Y'all motherfuckers damn play the gender reveal and we eat damn these Swedish meatballs. No, I ain't doing that. I'm done. You gotta wear the fucking shirt, right? You like the fucking baby shower shirt. You know the shirt. The fucking baby shower shirt, and take the picture, and you gotta wear the baby shower fucking shoes and man, no.
The hat. It's the hat. They make the hat out of the tissue paper out of the paper plate.
That is so fucking humiliating. I'm not gonna subject myself to this. Like, no. But this is new. But these are all new development. You know what I mean? Like that. Like back in, come on, man. In what? Like in the 70s, 80s, your dad coming to a co-ed baby shower? That might have got you kicked out your house, nigga. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you ask your dad sitting in his recliner, hey dad, I want to talk to you about something. I know you're watching in the heat of the night right now, but it's a baby shower coming up. That shit might get you written out of the will, nigga. You shitting me? Get the fuck out of here.
So I have a segment I want to do called The Moment I Feared, because it's inspired by a moment when my son, when he was about, I want to say 4, came downstairs nonchalantly and quietly and told his mother and I that he had swallowed a battery.
Oh my God.
A little watch battery from his Game Boy, one of his Nintendo toys or whatever. And that just threw us into a panic, which led to hospital visit, which led to us having to monitor his poop for the battery.
Make sure he got it out.
Make sure he got it out, and fishing out of his feces for a battery. So do you have a moment as a newer parent where you were just like, yo, what the hell am I going to do in this situation?
I don't have one as extensive as that one. I've never had the pleasure of digging through feces to, to dig out, a fucking Game Boy battery. That sucks. I did have the experience of, and I think I told you about this. I think first off, as the father of 2 boys, you're gonna have several fucking moment I feared, moments. Like them shits happen, a lot. But I definitely think it was one where I found out my son, my oldest son, at the time was renting his shoes out in school.
What?
He was renting his shoes out. Like, this was the wildest shit ever. Like, so his report, I've told this story like once, twice before. So he had done good in school. And we had all bought him shoes because he, like the kids, they like Jordans and all this shit. So I was like, all right, man, cool. You like shoes. So he had done well on his report card. So we all laced him with shoes. Like, I bought him a pair. Like his mama bought him a pair. My mama bought him a pair. We just all, we came together and, we laced him. So, so he had probably about 4 or 5 pairs of shoes, which as a kid in middle school, like, that's some baller shit. You know what I mean? Because, and then I even tell my son now, I'm like, look, bro, I'm not buying you're not getting no more than like 2 pair of shoes. You're getting like a school pair, you're getting a play pair, and maybe like a pair that we shoot ball in or go to the gym in or whatever. But it doesn't make any sense for you to have like 6, 7 pairs of shoes that you're going to fucking outgrow in 6 months. Like, right. That's, you know what I mean? Like, you don't become a collector until you stop growing.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But at the time, he had like several pairs. So one day he came home with a pair of shoes that I had never seen before. And I said, hey man, where you get them? He's like, oh, me and my friend, we just traded. And I said, y'all traded? Like, what the fuck you mean? We just trade. I let him get a pair of mine, and we just gonna trade for. I said, okay. Well, when is this trade over with? When you gonna get the ones back? He's like, oh, I'm gonna get them back like in a couple of days. I said, all right. I let it go. So then he comes back, and like a week or two goes by, and he still had them same shoes. And so we're in the car one night, and we were going to buy something. I think I was going to buy him like a coat that night. He needed like a winter coat. And he was like, well, yeah, Dad, I got some money. Somehow it came up that he had money. And I said, where you get the money from? Where you get $5 from? Oh, cause I found $5 walking on my way to school. I said, look now, come on, bro. I'm gonna need you to lie a little better than that. I'm gonna need you to lie like you got a daddy that read books, nigga. Come on now, come on. Give me something better. I'm gonna try again. No, I had money left over from Christmas. I said, I know you didn't have money left over from Christmas because I took you to damn Hollister and you bought that hoodie and all that shit. I watched you spend all your damn money from Christmas. So I know you ain't got no Christmas money left over. Like, where you get the money from? So finally he breaks down and he's like, well, Dad, I've been renting my shoes. I said, you've been doing what? He said, I've been renting my shoes. You like kids at school, they like my shoes. And so I just let them rent them for $5. I said, okay. Boy, listen, let me tell you something. I was so motherfucking mad. I turned the car around. I just turned the car around. I just came straight home. I was so goddamn hot. I said, all right, man. I said, okay. So I got home. We got in the house. I gave him a trash bag. I said, I want you to go upstairs and go get all your shoes. And just put them in this bag. And he's just quiet. And he's like, what the fuck? So he goes and gets them. He puts all his shoes in the bag. I said, man, well, what's your favorite? What's your favorite pair? Which one's your favorite pair? And he was like, probably, these Jordan, that these threes I got. I said, okay, well, we ain't gonna keep them. I'll let you get these Adidas. These are the ones we bought just for play with. You can wear these. You wear these Adidas. You know what I mean? And so I took the rest of his shoes. I had them in the bag. I said, this is what's happening. I said, you've been running a business without a business license. I said, now in the real world, in order for you to run any kind of business, you have to have proper, you got to check in with the proper authorities and get the proper licensing in order to legally run this business. Because you live with me, I am the authority. You did not check with me for running this business. So now what we're going to do what is known as seizing your assets. Because you've been running this business without a license, one, and two, you haven't been reporting the income that you've made from this business. So now what we got to do is we got to seize all your assets as well as take whatever money. How much money you got on you right now? What you got? And he had his wife. I got like $25. I said, yeah, give me that. That's mine. Just give me that's my $25. I said, so you can just give me that. I said, because now we got to go through and see exactly how much you've made during this business and what you see, so we can determine what the applicable taxes are. Mm-hmm. That's what business is. That's what it is. And he was just sitting there. He was like, what in the hell? So I took his Jones, I put the motherfuckers in the damn I put him in the trunk. I put his shoes in the trunk, and he had just one pair of shoes for like months. So he finally comes back to me. This is like months later. This is a couple months later. And he's like, Dad, I want to talk to you about something. And I'm like, all right. And, we were talking and we were talking about something totally unrelated. But then out of nowhere, because you took my shoes and you don't even understand why. You just took them. Like he just kind of got mad. He was really mad about the shoes. I said, okay, man. I said, yeah, I did take your shoes. I said, that happened. He said, well, I just don't understand. I said, okay. I said, listen, let me ask you a question. I said, what do you do? Because you were renting your shoes for $5. I said, what do you do if somebody goes and takes your shoes, stomps in a mud puddle, and then brings them back to you? What do you do? Well, I'll probably clean them off. I said, so let me get this straight. So someone's going to take your property, deface it, make it so now you can no longer make money off this product, and you're going to clean it up. How do you think that's going to make you look? How's it going to make you look what does that say to other people about what they can do to your property? So he got quiet. He was just sitting there looking. I said, okay. I said, let's go for another thing. Because by this time he had told me the shoes that he had traded with his homie, he had bought them. His homie sold them to him for $15.
Wait,
and these
what?
was like bro, nigga, this shit, it gets so crazy. This nigga had sold because like he had it was a pair of the it was the threes. I can't remember which one but it was like the classic, like the black, white, and red threes. I can't remember the fucking I'm sorry, they weren't threes, they were the fours. I can't remember which one, but anyway, it was just that classic colorway.
The Spizikes.
It wasn't the Spizikes. It was I can't remember. I'm not a sneakerhead like that, so please, all the sneakerheads that listen, please forgive me. But yeah, it was them fucking Jordans. But I know them shits cost most of goddamn $15. I know that. But his homie sold him his shoes for $15. He was wearing them, and so I said, well, man, listen. I said, okay, so let's say, for instance, that you're at at your bus stop or whatever. And somebody comes to you and they say, hey, man, them my brother's shoes. I bought my brother them shoes, man. Take them shoes. I'm going to beat your ass. I said, what would you do? He said, well, Dad, I'd run. I said, okay, once again, I'm going to give you a chance to clean that up. The jury would disregard that statement. I'm gonna give you another chance to get this thing right to revamp your image around here.
Oh my God.
He said, okay. He said, well, I probably, I fight him. I said, okay, so now you're gonna fight over these shoes and you're gonna get suspended from school. Well, nah, I'm not fighting at school. I said, if you're at the bus stop, that is school property. Anything at the bus stop, if you're on the bus, like that is all school property. So anything that happens at a bus stop or on a bus, that is considered something happening at school, and it's gonna reflect on you there. So fighting, okay. So what would you do? I'd probably just go tell a teacher. Okay, so now we're gonna snitch. Now that's what we're doing. We snitching now. We just because that's what I taught you, right? That's the Coleman way. We just go tell it. So he's still quiet. He just listened. He said, okay, well. So then he thinks, he's figured it out. Okay, well, I'll probably just come tell you about it. I said, oh, so now I'm your goon. That's what this is. I'm your enforcer in this goddamn sneaker racket. That's me. I'm the muscle. You're gonna call me to straighten it out. And he was just quiet, and I could just see the frustration building on his face when he just realized every answer was the wrong answer.
Yes.
And so I said to him, I said, listen, man, look, I understand that you want to make your own money. And I understand, Keen kind of even, to what we were talking about earlier about realizing, you're your father's son. Nigga, as my grandma said, nigga, you got it honest, right? You didn't steal it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm an entrepreneur. I've been, working shit since I was fucking 14. I've always wanted to have my own money and be in control of my own destiny. Like, so you got it honestly. I get it. It's absolutely nothing wrong with you want to make a way for yourself, and that's commendable. But here's the thing about it. I said, man, you're trying to run a business in school, and school is not the place where you run a business, because eventually you're going to run into a conflict in your business that's going to interfere with you being in school. I said, so you letting people, you renting these shoes for $5, renting your shoe. I said, nigga, what's to stop somebody from renting your shoes for $5 and then selling them to another nigga for $15? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because you bought this $15 shoes from your homeboy. I said, man, these shoes retail for what, $140? What, $150, whatever? Nigga, who's taking $125 loss on some shoes? Because they're your friend? No, nigga. If somebody is letting something go for that cheap, that means it was never theirs to give. So you don't know what the fuck you getting into with that. You don't know the story behind these fucking shoes. You know what I'm saying? I said, so dude, you're setting yourself up trying to run this business. You're going to get into a conflict of somebody either fucking up your shoes or trying to sell your shoes or somebody not wanting to pay you or whatever. You're going to have to handle that conflict via a fight or something. So now you're sitting in the fucking office, in the principal's office, and they're like, well, what is the basis of this? What's going on? And everyone, all your homies and friends, well, Dylan is the one behind this catching RICO charges for this shoe racket. And now your ass is sitting at home for the rest of the year. Over $5 fucking. And he just sat there. He was just like, okay, Dad, I understand. I said, okay, as long as you understand, all right, cool. And that was it.
You flexible and heavy. I got heavy vibes of, I just want to be regular people.
Right. Yo, that was the and the thing I learned about that shit, bro, like, is just, it's about the thing, just kind of in parenting that just is kind of that was a golden rule and still is a golden rule for me. If you don't tell it to them, if you haven't told it to your kids, you have to assume that they don't know.
Yeah.
You can't assume anything. If you haven't explicitly said or laid down a rule, or if you haven't explicitly said it, you got to assume they don't know it. And he just didn't at that time didn't see. And I was even telling his mom, I was like, yo, it wasn't that I didn't want to come down hard on him. I wasn't trying to embarrass him or nothing, but yo, I was a kid once. I was 14 once, and I know right now you renting sneakers, but nigga, by the time you get to your freshman year, you're gonna be selling something else. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't stop. I've seen that hustle mentality. It can go in a positive way, or it can go in a very negative way. And, I was just trying to, let him know, like, bro, it ain't sweet out here. Like, just, if you want a job, you can just get a job. But, you ain't, this shit you trying to do, homie, this has deeper ramifications than you realize. And so that was one of my big moments. I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, like, what am I supposed to do with these people?
I think you handled it admirably. So
thank you, brother.
Let's close on, what is your favorite part about being a father?
Man, I think my favorite part about being a father is in some ways, I think being a parent is almost like time travel. You know what I'm saying? In the sense that you get to correct mistakes of your past through your kids. And and it's not that, and it's not to say that you live for your kids and that you make, what I'm saying, like, you can't attach your dreams to your children. I think that's harmful. You know what I mean? If you the nigga that always wanted to be pro, so now you couldn't play pro ball, so now you got your son out here running suicides and all this crazy shit.
Right.
You out here with a goddamn bullhorn and shit. And, and it's like, listen, if that's your son's dream, let it be his dream, but don't put your dream on him, Right. But one of the things that I do enjoy is just being able to, when my sons come to me with problems, and being able to talk to them about it and kind of give them instruction of saying, nah, this ain't how you want to handle that. This is the way, this is a better way of approaching this, because that was something that I wished I would have had at that age. You know what I'm saying? I wished, when I was 13, 14, that I would have had my dad to talk to, and to give me, just some real game on how to move out here, And so when we had these conversations, they walk away and, and I just think, man, like, these boys are going to be so much better in life than I was, like they're going to go on to do things that I, couldn't have dreamed of doing, because they're going to have better instruction. You know what I mean? They had a blueprint. We didn't have a blueprint. Like, I was the only, like, me and my homies, as I'm sure a lot of people are doing now, just in quarantine, we're all, having Zoom conversations and checking in and stuff. And, a very good friend of mine, his mother died a couple weeks ago. And,
my best friend's father died from this COVID shit. If you if you don't know anybody whose parent or grandparent or aunt or something has passed, then you haven't been outside, because it's real.
No, it's totally real. This ain't no joke. And those two, his mom's death wasn't COVID related. I do have like other people in my family and like in our circle that I've lost, to COVID, that have died specifically from COVID. But my buddy, his mom, it wasn't COVID related, but she passed, nonetheless. And we was all on Zoom and we was just, just talking and just kind of shooting the shit. And one of my boys, he was like, "Yo, my homie Milt, who was our tour manager on with LB, and he was just, I was like, man, out of all of us, Milt was the only one that had a dad. Like none of my homies growing up had fathers in their lives. And the thing about dysfunction is just that when you're surrounded by it, you don't even realize that it's a dysfunctional setup. Because none of us had dads, you know what I mean? So it wasn't even like you could compare and contrast, you know what I mean? It was just, okay, my homie Milt, like he got his parents, but they that's just one thing. You don't even look at it as like, damn, like this is something wrong. But none of us, like all my day one homies, like none of us had our dads in their lives. And even in my neighborhood, like the homies I would kick it with, just to live, on my block and everything, like there were no fathers around. Like none. You know what I'm saying? And I just look at it now. And I think I talked to you, we talked this about, a couple years back, how when my son started having they homies come over, it really changed my perspective on what fatherhood meant.
Yes.
And you know what I'm saying? And how, I remember my granddad, and I told you, my granddad, he was Mr. Coleman in his neighborhood. Like he was the house where, everybody would come by and, would have a drink, or if you needed a plate of food, or, like you needed some advice, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like my grandfather's house, my grandma's house was kind of the neighborhood spot for that. And, my granddad helped a lot of people. And now it's like I'm the Mr. Coleman of my neighborhood. for all my homies' friends, like for all my son's friends, they little homies come through and they want to play PlayStation and damn Xbox, and just I let them sleep over. I let them, do all that shit, because I'm like, man, I know y'all safe here. And so that's probably the my favorite part of being a dad, of just knowing that I can take whatever, all the mistakes I've made and the hardships I went through and just traumas I've experienced, and I can present that to my kids in a way that makes them better, and so they can build off the foundation that I laid and go on to greater and better things and be more dynamic as a result of that.
When you talk about Mr. Coleman, I feel like you had a Mr. Coleman moment on Who Loves You More. I think because that verse, it didn't seem like you were talking to one of your kids, but you were talking to someone who was a younger person or mentor in your life. Is that correct? Am I reading that right?
Who Loves You More? I'm trying to think which verse.
Charity starts at home.
Yeah, I know the song. I'm trying to think. My brother hit me up, said he had to make bail again. Cause I'm trying to think which verse. I know particularly with Who Loves You More, that was, one verse is about my brother. That was definitely kind of talking to my younger brother.
Okay, maybe that's what I was feeling. It was definitely an advice, because the first one was definitely about divorce and relationship, and the second one was my cousin hit me up, said he had to post bail again because my brother got
back in jail again. Yeah.
Because he tried to sell again, and how am I failing him? And then you just went into the these youngins want all the spoils with none of the toils, and I was like, damn, stay in his bag right now.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah,
that was it. Yeah, that was definitely kind of frustration. It was particularly about about my brother, but yeah, it could definitely be applicable to the kids, particularly like when my son, like right now, like we had a conversation maybe a couple weeks ago with my oldest son, and we was talking about music, and I was just kind of telling him about just the creation, and just we're just talking about stuff. And so finally I asked him, I said, well, look, man, what have you done? Like, can you play me something? Can you show me something? Can you spit something for me? Like, what's what? And he said, well, Dad, right now I'm trying to just work on my image. I said,
what?
You're trying to work on your image? He's like, yeah. I'm just thinking, I'm trying to work on my image. And the thing about it, man, and I had a conversation with another homie of mine, that works with like a lot of youth. And he was like, man, what it is, he said, that's the way they process the world now. He said, the way they process the world, is not, it's not about how much money you have. If you have the money, you have money, but they're more impressed with your Instagram followers. they're more impressed with, oh shit, you verified on Instagram.
Right,
Like
right.
that means something to them, you know what I mean? So they're very much, not to say that they're a shallow generation, but they're very much the way they process information and the way they relate to the world, it all is based on imaging, you know, and visuals first, you know what I mean? And so I said, well, man, so I didn't want to just go with my first instinct, be like, nigga, what the fuck is you talking about? Just write some goddamn song. You know what I mean? I didn't want to just amp on him. Look, this image, what the fuck? Fuck your image, nigga. Write some jams, right? But what I said to him, I said, well, listen, I understand the images is important to you, but maybe a better way to approach it is to start creating songs and then let the songs dictate what your image is.
Hmm.
Because it's easy to just, I mean, if you create an image and then try to write songs based on that image, you're essentially creating a character. But if you write art or you create art or you make music and then let that music dictate your image, that's when you're really walking and creating in your truth. You ain't got to fake shit at that point. I can be Phonte today, tomorrow, next week, whatever. Like it's not a character I have to get into. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, all right, he's like, I get that. He's like, all right. And you know, he let me hear something, I think a little bit later on. And he actually got bars. Like he can rap. I was like, yo, man, you sound good. Like, yeah. I was like, yo, you can rhyme. So, you know, we'll see what he does with it. But you know, he got to put in the work.
We'll definitely keep us posted. We'll definitely have to have you come back to give us an update on his budding MC career. Phonte, this has been everything I dreamed it would be. For real, for real. I appreciate you. When I can, I had this idea. I've had it for years, and some things have kicked me in the butt of late. And
Hell yeah, it's kicking everybody. Listen, man, listen. It's wrong to get niggas right, cuz. Shit.
But I said, you know what? Now's the time. I've actually learned some things from being on other people's podcasts and talk to friends. And I say, okay, now I have a plan of action. And you know what? Boom, let's do it. And this has been an incredible conversation.
Man, absolutely. Likewise, brother. Thank you for having me as always, and thank you for always supporting me. And brother, and I just want to say, man, like just even what you doing this podcast, I think is so great and is a lesson to so many creative people that you don't have to rush into something, right? Like just because you see all your homies going on IG Live, that don't mean you got to go on IG Live. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like take this time to sit back and find out what your gifts are and then determine the best way to present those gifts in a way that is most useful to the people, and I just commend you just for kind of, because I've read about the layoffs and everything, and I shot you out, but I just think it's so dope that you, through all the years that I've known you, regardless of what magazine you were at or whatever, you always had your own shit. You always had your own platform. If it was Watch Loud, if everything, like you always was like, yeah, I'm working for this person, but I'm still gonna keep a little piece of myself to do me. Right. And man, and I always just admired that about you, creatively and professionally, brother. And I'm proud to call you a friend and a brother of mine. And just thank you again. And I think this podcast is going to be a great outlet, just for men to have that conversation about fathers and our fears as fathers, everything. I think this is fantastic.